Alex Eala, she's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I told her that. I was like, dude, I'm so excited for this doubles because I'm about to have like the most support I've ever had.
She's much more experienced than I am. I don't think it was an easy win for her, so it's very difficult.
The red clay of Roland Garros had witnessed legends rise and champions crumble for more than 100 years. But on that unforgettable afternoon in Paris, Court Philippe Chatrier experienced something the French Open had never truly seen before.
I love the Filipino fans too, and I feel a little bit adopted when I play doubles with.
4 days before Roland Garros, the tennis world had already decided what Alex Eala's story was supposed to be. A disappointing clay season, a shaky Strasbourg exit, a dangerous first-round draw, and a teenager from the Philippines who simply wasn't ready yet. Then Paris happened, and suddenly the sport had to confront something far bigger than one upset. Because what unfolded on Court Philippe Chatrier was not just a tennis match. It was the sound of an entire nation arriving all at once. The flags came first, then the noise, then the realization that the atmosphere inside Roland Garros no longer belonged exclusively to the traditional powers of tennis. It belonged to Alex Eala. The 20-year-old Filipina, ranked number 38 in the world, walked onto the most famous clay court on earth against Jovic, the number 17 seed and one of the fastest rising names in women's tennis. A player publicly praised by Novak Djokovic himself as a future world number 1. On paper, the match looked straightforward. Jovic had the ranking, the seeding, the Australian Open quarter-final, the momentum, the endorsement from the greatest player of the modern era. Eala had questions. Questions about her consistency. Questions about her clay court ceiling. Questions about whether her breakthrough moments earlier in the year were sustainable or temporary. Most analysts looked at the draw and saw a first-round exit waiting to happen. What they missed was everything beneath the rankings. Because the story did not begin on match day. It began 4 days earlier in Strasbourg, May 18, 2026. Eala had opened brilliantly in her final warm-up event before Paris. She took the first set 6-3 and looked in control before the match slowly slipped away. The second set tightened. The third unraveled. The headlines afterward were brutal. Alex Eala crashes out early. Disappointing finish before Roland Garros. Momentum lost. The tennis world interpreted the defeat as evidence that she wasn't ready. But inside Eala's camp, the reaction was completely different. There was no panic, no withdrawal, no emotional collapse, just work. By May 22nd, she was already back on the practice courts at Roland Garros, grinding through sessions while something unusual started happening around court 4. The seats filled. Not for a match. Not for a celebrity practice partner. Not for a former champion. For Alex Eala. Filipino fans packed the railings and stairways just to watch warm-ups. Every clean forehand drew applause. Every winner produced cheers usually reserved for tournament play. And this wasn't new anymore. The Australian Open had seen it. Abu Dhabi had seen it. Indian Wells had seen it. Rome had seen it. Everywhere Eala went in 2026, the same phenomenon followed her. The Alex Eala effect. An explosion of Filipino support, unlike anything women's tennis had seen from Southeast Asia in decades. That mattered more than people realized. Because tennis crowds are not background noise. They are pressure, emotion, momentum, energy. And when Eala walked onto Philippe Chatrier against Jovic, the court did not feel neutral. Felt occupied. Now imagine the psychological reality from Jovic's side. You are the number 17 seed. You are carrying expectations. You have Novak Djokovic personally analyzing your game. You are supposed to win. Instead, you walk into a stadium overflowing with Philippine flags and chants of Laban Alex, echoing through the Paris air before warm-up even begins. Suddenly this isn't just a first-round match anymore. Feels like an away game. The irony is that Jovic herself had warned everyone months earlier without realizing it. At the Miami Open earlier that season, she talked openly about how incredible Filipino fans were during the doubles events she played alongside Eala. She laughed while saying she loved playing with Alex because it gave her the most support she had ever experienced at a tennis match. She even joked that she felt adopted by Filipino fans. That quote became prophetic, because on this day in Paris, there would be no borrowed support. Every ounce of that energy belonged to one player. And the deeper truth was this: clay favored Eala far more than people admitted. Jovic's 2026 clay record entering Roland Garros stood at 8-6. Her own comments throughout the season revealed how uncomfortable she once felt sliding and constructing points on slower surfaces. Green clay in Charleston had helped her confidence, but Paris red clay is different entirely. Slower, heavier, more physical, more tactical. Eala, meanwhile, had spent her developmental years training at the Rafa Nadal Academy in Spain. This surface was not foreign to her. It was home. Rome had already proven it. She beat Magdalena Freck. She defeated Wang Xinyu. She pushed Elena Rybakina in a match that quietly changed how coaches and players viewed her ceiling on clay. That Rome run was not random. It was preparation. And there was one more detail almost nobody discussed before the match. Doubles. Eala and Jovic had already played together twice in 2026. Auckland, Indian Wells. People underestimate what doubles reveals. You learn habits, patterns, nerves, second serves, body language, decision-making under pressure. Eala wasn't trying to decode Jovic from scratch. She already understood parts of her game from the inside. That matters, especially on clay, where matches are often won by anticipation more than raw power. Then the match started. And within minutes, the script began collapsing. Eala's movement was cleaner, her depth heavier, her composure calmer. The rallies extended, and suddenly the pressure shifted entirely onto Jovic. Because once the crowd sensed belief, the atmosphere transformed from support into force. Every Eala winner detonated through Philippe Chatrier. Every long Jovic error produced another wave of noise. Every hold of serve felt like a national celebration. And the most important thing, Eala never looked surprised. That was the giveaway. Underdogs usually play with flashes of disbelief during huge upsets. Their energy spikes emotionally. They fluctuate. Eala looked prepared. Like she had already rehearsed this match 1,000 times in her head. Point by point, game by game, the realization spread through the stadium. This wasn't luck. This wasn't a collapse from Jovic. This was a player arriving. The final scoreline entered Philippine tennis history immediately, but the emotional impact went beyond numbers. Because for decades, Southeast Asian tennis fans were taught indirectly that the highest levels of the sport belonged somewhere else. America, Russia, Spain, Australia, the Czech Republic. Not Manila. Not the Philippines. Not here. Yet on one of the grandest courts in the world, with millions watching globally, Alex Eala looked completely natural, belonging among the elite. That changes things. Not just for her ranking. Not just for endorsements. Not just for media attention. Changes imagination. Young Filipino athletes watching that match suddenly saw possibility instead of distance. And the rest of the tournament only amplified the feeling. The draw ahead looked terrifying. Emma Navarro. Potentially Naomi Osaka. Then perhaps Aryna Sabalenka waiting deeper in the event. But after Jovic, nobody viewed Eala the same way anymore. Because once a player proves they can carry a stadium emotionally, rankings stop telling the full story. And that's what Roland Garros 2026 revealed most clearly. Alex Eala was no longer just a promising young player from the Philippines. She had become an event. Every match now carried atmosphere, narrative, identity, crowds, emotion. The tennis world spent years building future stars through projections and analytics and academy systems. Then a 20-year-old from Manila walked into Paris with an army of fans and reminded everyone that sport does not grow only through infrastructure. Sometimes it grows through belief. The most revealing line of the entire week came before the tournament even began. Eala said, "I'm finding my footing and I know that I can do well. I'm a much better player physically and mentally than I was last year." No grand declarations. No guarantees. No hype. Just quiet certainty. Then she walked onto Philippe Chatrier and proved every word. The question now is no longer whether Alex Eala belongs at this level. Paris already answered that. The real question is this: how far can the Alex Eala effect actually go once belief turns into expectation?